Hello, everyone. Welcome to We Are One. I'm your host, Charles Clements. On today's show, we have COVID virus updates, our take on blue lines and black lives, followed by the latest stimulus, otherwise known as the American Rescue Plan information. If you like our show, hit that subscribe button. Let us know in the comments that you subscribed, and we will pop in and give you a big thank you. Now, we have got a good bit of information to get to, so let's get to it. First up, the COVID-19 update. This information via Forbes. We now have 64,938 new cases reported since February 15th, 2021, as per Johns Hopkins. This is the fewest since the October reports in 2020 had us at 62,020 cases. Hospitalizations have also declined for 33 consecutive days and climbing. The current 7-day average of COVID-related deaths is just a hair over 2,500 per day, which is 500 to 700 less than just a month ago. All that via the COVID tracking project. More information from Forbes. Better than 53 million shots have been given out. More and more are masking up, doubling up their cloth masks with the multi-layered masks. Not talking to you, Karen and Ken. Many of us are limiting our grocery trips per week to cook at home almost exclusively, or spend whatever little money we have left door dashing our way into bankruptcy. So I'm just going to remind you of this. Mask up. Twice if you can. Limit your trips of exposure. And remember, your family, especially those you live with, not to mention friends and coworkers, want to stay healthy too. It isn't a hoax. It's an American challenge. That isn't to say that we're the only important people dealing with this. It means that if we as Americans can not only catch up, but begin again to take the lead, as we have many times in the past, not like the previous administration, who didn't just drop the ball, but watched cluelessly as it sailed over his head, then we will once again not have just rose to the occasion, but we will have demonstrated to the world that our actions are louder than our words. Actions that set examples for what national character truly is, what it can be. Next up, the thin blue line. As far back as I can recall, I've been hearing Blue Lives Matter since just after a significant number of our citizens cried out, Black Lives Matter, as a point of survival. So I say this, agree or not, hit me in the comments, we'll talk about it. There is no such thing as blue lives. It is a uniform. It is a career. It is not a skin color or a birthplace or anything else. A career thankfully abused by a slim majority who were either bullied as children and chose personal retribution as their path forward, sociopaths, or the openly racist. Not all, just a minority. They exist because the brotherhood of the blue line is momentarily stronger than the line which is coming. What line is that? It will be the one that we've made, the people. The same people who saw insurrectionists beat police officers, charged with guarding one of our most sacred buildings, beaten with flags of the thin blue line. Blue Lives Matter. Please, sit down and shut it. Some of you in the MAGA movement have redefined hypocrisy like none other could. And it wasn't just blue line flags. Our officers on Capitol Hill were beaten with the American flag. A flag that should not even touch the ground. The American flag. Now, I get that some of our fellow Americans have been misled by the tragically under-par media. The issues relating to the fairness doctrine, Google it under Reagan, and the gradual polarization of the nation because our people now choose news sources which most accommodates our individual beliefs and what we want to hear. This is not the truth. It is a national liability, one we can no longer afford. All right, that was the rant. Moving on. In a few moments, an update on the stimulus bill, also called the American Rescue Plan, including a few need-to-know numbers, status reports, and timelines. But first, a new segment. Periodically, we'll be showcasing two kinds of people. The first will be an undervalued American, no matter their skin color, national origin, or any other tired precursors, for those who have come here, have been born here, and understand that we are all united under our shared struggle. I'm doing this so those people can be known. Another segment coming in our next episode will be the Idiot of the Week. We'll get to that later. So first up, our person who needs to be known for something good. We Are One showcase of greatness will be centered on Rebecca Lee Crumpler. This following information is covered by AJC.com. In 1864, there were 54,543 registered medical physicians nationwide. Only 300 of which were women, none of them black. Born in 1831, taking care of sick neighbors as a habit, Miss Crumpler eventually became a nurse in Charlestown, Massachusetts. She spent 8 years serving the community in this way before heading off to medical school in 1860 with the encouragements of her previous medical colleagues. In 1864, she became the first black woman ever to receive a medical degree, an MD, in the United States. Though on her diploma, rather than Doctor of Medicine, she was given the title of Doctress of Medicine. After the end of the Civil War in 1865, she moved to Richmond, Virginia, to provide health care for the recently freed slaves there and the other poor citizens. But due to profound sexism and racism she was often barred by her administrators and pharmacists from either admitting patients or writing prescriptions. In 1869, she returned to Boston and became a neighborhood health provider around the Beacon Hill area. First published in 1883 for a book on health advice for women and children, she became one of the first African American authors to publish a medical book in this country. So hats off to this trailblazer who broke extraordinary boundaries, ceilings, and racial walls to leave our world better than she found it. That was our showcase on Dr. Rebecca Lee Crumpler. And last, this is your stimulus package update, otherwise known as the American Rescue Plan. The Democratic leadership seems to be pushing this reconciliation bill to be on the president's desk long before the March 15th deadline, where our unemployment benefits start to run out. The amount should go on that end from $300 to $400 a week, though rather than going to September, they'll probably end in August, as there were other complications and budgetary caps within the individual committees. As for the income threshold for the stimulus checks, those eligible will be wage earners and taxpayers at $75,000 a year per one, and up to $150,000 for joint filers. Though for some reason the IRS is still being instructed to use the 2019 federal tax filing as a basis for eligibility. Long before the pandemic or massive job and income loss followed in 2020 after the pandemic began. There's also the expansion of the child tax credit, $160 billion nationwide for the vaccine rollout, and the necessary funds to safely reopen schools. Likely coming soon, as bipartisan efforts will inevitably fail due to the inherent nature of the GOP to stonewall and the sad repetitive nature of the Dems who regularly bring a rubber knife to a gunfight. But the stimulus will come. Shaved down, of course, because what would a Democratic bill be if not for kowtowing to a defunct sect of a political party that is no longer relevant or in power. Hell, there are enough censors in the Democratic Party to reconstitute the old GOP, so you all have a chance to filter out the new QAnon whack jobs. Still, the stimulus is coming. It has cleared several committees. Soon it will go to the Rules Committee after it leaves the Budget Committee. And once all checked out for legality and make sure the bird rule is handled across the board, should be within the House vote no later than the end of next week. The Senate shortly afterwards, and likely all cleared, will be heading to the big desk to be finalized. And given that the infrastructure is already in place and twice tested, I'd expect the first stimulus checks to be going out electronically within a week or so of the president's signature. Now remember, if you like our content, and this is your kind of thing, hit that subscribe button and comment you subscribed so we can come in and give you a big thank you. And that being said, I'm Charles Clements. This has been We Are One. Thanks for being with us.